All right, Taurus. So this week from Lay Vampire, you pulled the monster within. Internal struggle, personal challenges, and wanting to improve. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled growth, which the two of these together are perfect. So the monster within, the blessing here says, knowing our own faults and flaws can give us the tools to transform them into strengths. Working with this card says, if you begin to practice discipline each day and create new ways of dealing with frustrations and difficulties, you will find your so-called negative traits can be reshaped and who you are will be redefined. Changing yourself is a great purpose. And that's exactly what you're doing with growth. Now, the card at a glance says that this card implies personal commitment and following one's heart. It is about honoring your growth and the growth of others. There is a sense of courage and abundance and the ability to stand tall. This is a time to uphold what your heart knows is true. And then the personal question says, what have I outgrown? Am I willing to become independent? The key ideas are taking a stand, living your truth, clashing values, and teaching by example. So for a lot of you, you are looking within right now. You're wanting to improve a part of yourself and a part of your life. And growth says absolutely that is what you're doing. All right, Taurus, here we go. Here's the energy coming through. The Three of Cups, very nice. So maybe dealing with some friends, doing some celebrating. I've always seen the Three of Cups as a support group. These are the people who actually give a shit about you and want to celebrate your accomplishments with you. So it is about celebration, but you're looking at celebrating with some friends, possibly, maybe some family members or a loved one. And in the past, the Two of Wands. So yeah, that would be a reason to celebrate, especially if you started acting on that. The Two of Wands is where you're making those decisions on what actions to take. You know, again, you hold your own world in your hands. What are you going to do with it? And those are the decisions that you're making here. You have that initial spark of creativity and passion, and now you're working on it. Oh, talking about decisions, needing to make difficult ones. And, you know, it may be a thing here where your friends are going to help you out. You know, you're looking at the Two of Wands in the past, but I think you get to a point here where you're not really sure on how to move forward because, you know, the Two of Swords very much is about being at the stalemate, not being able to make difficult decisions or not wanting to. You know, for some of you, you're not seeing the situation clearly or you're choosing to ignore it. But either way, in the present moment, you're having issues with making clear-cut decisions. You want to, with the Two of Wands is the past coming through, but something kind of blocks it. Oh, future conditions. So for some of you, wow, you may be walking away from something. Now, looking at the Eight of Cups, it talks about moving on emotionally before you do physically. So the question is are you doing this? But looking at the Two of Wands as the past, it's like, you know, you've put in some thought here and really tried to lay down some plans to start going after something, but then you get to a point here where you just can't do it. For some reason, you just can't follow through. And it may be because, you know, it's conflicting to what you actually want. The problem with the Eight of Cups is, you know, it's talking about the emotional investment that you have put into something for quite some time. You know, and maybe it's a case where there's something that you need to let go of before you're able to start acting on something new. It's almost like, you know, you've spent so much time and effort into one thing that just, you know, is not serving you anymore. And now it's time to move forward. But, you know, you're wanting to, it's just right now, it's like, do I walk away from this or do I stay with this or do I start making different decisions? Oh, yeah. Yep. I mean, look at you. You're like, nope, I'm gone. The Six of Swords is your best path to follow is telling you, yeah, it's time to move into a calmer situation for you. And more importantly, a calmer emotional situation. Because the Eight of Cups, you're done with it. Emotionally, you're just done with it. And you have been for a while. And now it's time to move away from it and move into something that may be a little bit more emotionally fulfilling for you. You know, the Six of Swords is one of those cards where you're looking at coming out of the Five and you're done with that kind of conflict. It may be something that you may not have expected to have to do, but, you know, in order to get that peaceful, like, emotional state, you have to move away from the conflict in your life. And that conflict being not being able to make clear decisions because you may be emotionally still involved with something that you know is not serving you anymore. In your environment, the Three of Wands, wow. So, the problem with this is, I really do see this as delays when you're looking at the Two of Swords. Here it looks great. There it doesn't. Because how can you see any progress with any initial, actions that you started here if you're not willing to make any clear-cut decisions? So for some of you, you're seeing a delay, a big delay, and it's going to be up to you in moving away from the things that you're done with. Then you might be able to start seeing some progress here. When you're looking at, the Ace, the Two, and the Three in the Wands, right? You have the initial spark. You have the decisions to start taking action. Then you get to the Three of Wands where you've done it, and now you're waiting to see some results. But you're also looking at the long term here. But you can't really look very far if you're not willing to make tough decisions. And that's only because some of you are still with something that you need to let go of. Oh, yeah. Your hopes and your fears, the Four of Cups. What is happening, Taurus? So this to me is boredom. You're bored with it. You're tired of waiting, I feel like, too. But then on the other hand, it's just reaffirming the whole thing with the Eight of Cups where you're done. You're done emotionally. And unfortunately, I hate saying this. For some of you, it may be a situation here where you may need to move away from, some people. This may be moving away from unfulfilling, relationships, whether it's with friends or whatever the situation is. But something is not, and I mean not, fulfilling you emotionally at all. And Spirit is telling you it's time to move away from this now. And it may be that you're focused on getting to a better place where you can start doing that celebrating. It almost reminds me of like, yeah, the divorce papers are signed, let's celebrate, right? But, then on the other hand, this could really have to do with moving away from people who, are not really truly helping you, which sucks because I like seeing the Three of Cups as a good thing, but what you have going on around it just isn't enough. It's not enough, you know what I mean? It could definitely be a situation where friends come through, right, and start helping you here, but with what I'm seeing here, it's like, meh. And as a hope for the Four of Cups, this is you needing to look inward and find out why you're feeling the way you do. Why is it that nothing feels like it's good enough? And honestly, it may be because you spent too much time with something that wasn't good enough in the first place. And the outcome, and that to me is good energy to see out of this. So you kind of get to the point here where you're done. You're done dealing with the shit, and you start using your voice and taking a stand for yourself. And that may be where, the personal challenges are coming from, what you're wanting to improve, is needing to stop spending, so much time with things that emotionally just don't serve your purpose. You're stubborn that way. But you gotta let go. You have to let go of, that emotional funk and not being able to make clear-cut decisions. It's time to move away from that shit now, and start speaking your truth. And that's what eventually you get to. And if you have people that are meddling, when you're looking at the Seven of Wands, basically you're like, oh, hell no, I'm done with that shit. But then again, on the other hand, it teeters for me, and that's only because I'm stubborn. I'm used to seeing the Three of Cups as a good thing. And when it comes up as, outside influences and third-party situations and all that kind of crap, that's where I get frustrated. So, for some of you, it could be, the group of people that's coming through and saying, you know what, it's all right, you do what you got to do. Or it could be a situation where you're needing to move away from, the cackling hen syndrome, right? But either way, where you come out at is good, Taurus. You come out where, you're not stepping down here. But then the other thing too is it's pretty bad when somebody pushes Taurus to the point where they get mad and need to get vocal. That's not good. But I feel like it's something you need to do. And celebration. So yeah, for some of you, maybe it is celebration and resistance. Stop doing that. Stop doing that shit to yourself. What you resist persists. So quit it. Don't do that. That's unnecessary. Don't resist things. Don't resist the fact that you know better and that you need to move away from this in order to make some clear-cut decisions and get some mental clarity at that. So stop it. Teaching by example, again, growth, right? The own personal growth that you're going through right now. And then celebration, it very well could be a fact where you have friends coming through that you end up celebrating with because you finally stood your ground. Wow, love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive, and then you have stay optimistic about your love life. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. If you are facing difficulties within a relationship, right? I mean, loving yourself, that goes without saying. You can't expect anybody else to love you if you don't love yourself first. But staying optimistic, this may be a situation here where, I feel like there needs to be some healing going on. It's one of those things where, and what bothers me about this is the whole positive thinking. Yeah, that's great and all, but negative thinking has its place too. It's just, it depends on what you do with it, but the thing is when you're dealing with hardships, you can't be positive all the time. It just doesn't work. You can't be gritting your teeth thinking, I got to stay positive. That doesn't work. So if you're facing difficulties, maybe you need to stay optimistic at the fact that, these things can be worked out. But you're ultimately looking at needing to love yourself first. It's almost like it has the ring of honor yourself. Wow, Taurus, wow. Regardless of whatever is going on, I'm still glad that you came out with the 7 of Wands, because that to me is you going, I'm not taking any more shit. You've done pissed off the bull, now you're getting the horns, right? But I kind of worry about you, those of you who are in a relationship. Why are you needing to stay optimistic? What happened? And why is it that you're needing to revert back to needing to love yourself? That's my worry, but that's just me being paranoid. But I mean, overall, Taurus, I do think that you're going to get to a point where you get over, whatever personal challenges you're wanting to fix. And there is growth in your life, in yourself personally, which is good. But again, stop spending so much time with stuff that you know is not serving you anymore. And quit resisting stuff. Stop doing that. All right, Taurus, so I kind of worry about this one a little bit. I mean, again, this goes either way for me. And then you do have celebration showing up. So, you may get to a point here where you get to celebrate the changes that you're making for yourself. Because definitely you are doing some internal growth. And you're changing some things about yourself that you may look at as flaws and turning them into your strengths, which is good. But stop resisting shit. Don't do that. What you resist persists. You know better than this. And I think it's because you're wanting to stay with something that, is no good for you. And emotionally, you're just like, And I worry that you're going into a place here where you're trying to, understand why you're not emotionally in it anymore so that you can fix it. But the thing is, the Spirit is saying that, no, it doesn't need fixing. It needs for you to walk away from it because it's no longer serving your purpose. It's not worthy of you. There's no point in, going back and going, why am I feeling this way? How do I fix this? No, you need to fix it by you walking away. And don't resist that. But I do feel like you get to a point here where you come out swinging. You've had enough. You start using your voice and you start standing up for yourself, which is good. And especially with, the block that's going on here, because you're not seeing any progress anymore with what you are still clinging on to, because the question is still there. I think for some of you, you're going to end up kind of sticking with it a little bit when you shouldn't. And this could be a situation where you may have friends that are telling you, hey, it's time to walk now. You need to move away from this. And it could be, you saying no and trying to defend your position. But the thing is with the 7 of Wands, you have the higher ground, right? But, it could be a situation where you're needing to leave people behind that have the cackling hen syndrome. Or it's just that, you get to a point here where you start listening to your friends and you make a stand for yourself and you get away from this. Either way, I do like the 7 of Wands coming out. I do think that, you start making that stand for yourself. And then, teaching by example, right? If you have people around you that are looking up to you, it's important that you do that internal work and get control over those personal struggles. But I think you're all right. I just think that you know better, and you need to walk away from the things that do not serve your purpose. Because I'm telling you, otherwise Spirit wouldn't be saying, move. It's time to move now. Move, right? Now, for those of you in a relationship, I worry. For those of you who are single, passion is great. If you're feeling some passion, go ahead and act on that. That's fantastic. But looking at love yourself first and staying optimistic about your love life tells me that something happened within a relationship. Why is it that you're needing to stay optimistic and reverting back to needing to remember to love yourself? I mean, that's a given, and I kind of worry here, and I may be way off, but I kind of get the feeling that something happened that needs to be healed. Yeah, positive thinking, I'm always iffy on that. You have to work through the negative first in order to get to a spot where you can think positively about a situation. So there may be some healing that needs to go on within a relationship. But, love yourself first. It's so important, and it does. It has that air of honor yourself. But you do. Hell yeah, you do. Coming out like this looks great. So, Taurus, stop resisting stuff. Do that personal growth and walk away from the things that are no good for you, especially emotionally.